Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode.
Hello, everyone. Before Rachel gets started with today's episode, I just want to make you aware that we are now accepting applications for our Mystical Life Coach certification starting in the second week of January 2024. That's in less than 2 months away from us right now. So if you are interested in doing what myself, what Ellie, and all our amazing other Mystical Life Coaches do, if you're interested in becoming a coach, earning the certification, please join us. Follow the link below, fill out the application, and jump on a quick consultation with me. I'll see you in another episode. Thanks.
Hello, mystical beings and beautiful souls. This is Rachel Fiori, welcoming you to this episode of the Masters of Self University podcast. And I would love to jump into our topic for today for this episode. Let's talk about how the earth is splitting in two. I mean, our crazy times that we are going through right now. Let's talk a little bit more about it and what's really going on. So our earth is splitting in two. What does that mean? Well, we all know about, elevating and evolving into the new earth, what we call it, the new world. I call the old earth, like I often refer to it as the fallen earth, the old world, the fallen world, because it really is the fallen world. It's the fallen earth. But the earth splitting in two. So let me start here. Probably 10, 11, 12, maybe 11, 12 years ago now, I started to receive all these images and visuals of, think of a cell dividing in two. Really think about that process, literal process of cell division. Okay. You have one cell, and then that cell slowly starts dividing itself, replicating itself, and dividing itself into two identical cells, right? One cell literally became two. And I'm inviting you to either Google it and look it up visually, all right? Or if you can easily visualize, some people aren't that good at that. That's why I say, if you're not that good at that, I'm being serious. Pause this, look up cell division or cell dividing into two, and look at the visuals of a cell dividing itself into two cells. Okay. I want you to visually have that image through this episode. If you're really good at visualization, you already can easily visualize that. You're perfect. Great. So a cell dividing in two. I got these images, around, like I said, maybe 12 years ago. I started to get all these downloads about Earth splitting into two, that the Earth was splitting into two. And like it kept showing me cellular division, that there are two Earths, like in the process of us creating two Earths. Now, at that time that I kept getting these, I'm like, what? What the hell? Does that mean literally, figuratively, because just dimensionally we're moving into a new Earth? The new Earth is going to be a much higher dimension. How does this work? I don't really know what's going on here. Are we physically having two Earths? I know that can be figurative or literally, right? So I didn't know at the time that I was getting all these messages. And I then came across the well-known, infamous Dolores Cannon. And up until, around, like I said, somewhere around 12 years ago or so, I did not know who she was. And I got one of her books, and don't you know, she had that identical picture, and she explained this process in one of her books. And it could be the convoluted universe. I don't remember the name. But if anybody doesn't know Dolores Cannon, she's wonderful. Look her up. And she's no longer with us on this planet, if you're unaware, unfortunately. Oh, I would love to have her here right now. My God. But you can read all of the beautiful work that she's done and left with us here from her time on this planet. Anyway, I came across her and I read one of her books, and that was the identical picture that I kept seeing, that I kept visualizing, that kept being shown to me, was the earth splitting into two. And it looked just like cellular division, a cell dividing into two. And I was just one of those moments where, um, my mind was blown. I'm like, this is the exact image I've been seeing for however long. And then I come across this person and I start reading one of her books, and boom, there it is. She's describing it. She's explaining the process of her splitting in two, and kind of what that means and looks like as we evolve into a new earth, and fascinating stuff. So I'm bringing this up now because we are going through some weird times, and I want to offer some explanations about a few things, and also some caution, some ways that you can really be cautious and very careful and not getting tricked or fooled, because I see this happening more and more. I also see like the darkness and the evil on the planet, and people who are run by darkness and evil, whether they know it or not. Um, I see what they're kind of pulling out all stops. Like they're stopping at nothing, grasping at straws at this point, because, you know, we really are dividing, and not in a negative, ego way. This isn't separation consciousness. Okay. But I want to explain this. So as Earth kind of continues its separation process, and people who are truly awakening and elevating for real, you're not going to New Earth just because you're spiritual. Cut that fucking crap. That's part of the trap that darkness and people who are planted to keep you from evolving for real. There's a lot of them in spiritual communities. Okay. A lot of them are in spiritual communities, and they trick you into thinking you're evolving and awakening. And they're really keeping you trapped in powerlessness, codependency, sex, lust, that kind of thing. And when you're trapped in that, that is not a part of an elevated, higher dimensional planet at all. You guys, it's not on the new planet. So when we are fully transitioned, and there are two Earths, and the Earth that is more elevated is in full existence, and there's not this overlap anymore, that is not a part of that planet. You understand? If you're still involved in um, the hate and separation of any kind, if you're still actively creating inequality, guys, whether you're aware that you created or not, that's the tricky part. If you run programs where you continue to create inequality, you are on the old earth, and that's where you're staying. And if you are unaware of how you continue to do that, you're staying on the old earth. Why? Because you lack awareness. You lack divine sight. You lack divine self-awareness. You don't even qualify as somebody who can function as the way of responsibility, let alone get to the way of equality. The way of responsibility, you should know by now, is Universal Way of Oneness number 1. That's the first of 20 ways of oneness, right? You have a lot of ways to elevate into a being of oneness consciousness, the becoming of, oneness consciousness, before you can get to the way of equality. The way of equality is the 9th way of oneness. So if you aren't yet responsible enough to do the inner work on yourself, on your shadow self, to see the programs that you in fact run, that have been conditioned in you, that you've created yourself, that you've been imprinted on, that you've been conditioned to become, knowingly or unknowingly. When you haven't done that work yet, and you're still creating inequality, for example, when this earth completely splits and they are two separate planets, you're not going to be on the elevated one. Do you understand? I don't care how spiritual you are. It has nothing to do with anything. It is how you actually show up in this world, which is, there is zero tolerance anymore for a lack of divinity. That does not mean that you will not still have things to heal or things to learn or to grow into. Not everybody's going to be the highest level of enlightenment on the new earth. Trust me, that's not happening. That won't happen for a long time. But if you're running unconscious programming where you continue to create a ton of separation and you're unwilling to see that that's what you're doing, you are not qualified to enter onto a new, more elevated planet. Do you understand? What's going to happen is the old earth, that low dimensional earth, all of the unconscious beings who refuse to wake up for real, trapped in materialism, trapped in nothing but sex, trapped in darkness, trapped in wars, trapped in violence, all kinds of violence at every level, whether it's mental, emotional, psychological, physical, sexual, all of that is the old earth. Inequality, sorry. Those of you who keep battling each other over the genders, all of the men in the world who are not evolved enough and keep thinking, as divine masculine men, quote unquote, how to ignite your woman, your divine feminine woman, into her feminine, sensual, subservient energy where she just receives you and you're the leader. All that fucking bullshit that is delusional and does nothing but continue to create inequality, patriarchal domination, roles and programming, mental, emotional programming. All of that is such delusional bullshit. And if you're caught up in it, you're not going to the new earth. Okay. Now, I want to be very clear on something. There is no such thing as, well, you say I'm not going, I'm going, or who says that you're the judge? Get the fuck, grow up. If you're coming from that mentality, go to a different podcast. First of all, you're not ready for this level. That is not an insult. That is not a criticism. That is not a judgment. You are not inferior. You are in a different grade. And if that is where you are, I am helping you by pointing out you ain't ending up on a new planet. You can't with that crap. Do you understand? This is what I want to tell you. I want to show you this. I want to guide you so that you can wake up enough for those of you who truly want to heal and be elevated enough. If you're tired of governments being fake and phony and do nothing but brainwash and enslave, and you don't want to be a part of that rat race and you don't want to be a part of an enslaved planet, then you have to be willing to wake up for real. So if you're still triggered left and right by everything, you still have work to do. That's all. Okay. If I were not here on this planet as a spiritual teacher, as a mystical teacher of oneness consciousness, to guide you to become elevated enough that when this earth fully splits in two, you made it on the oneness consciousness side and not the old low dimensional earth that is nothing but separation consciousness. Understand why this is happening. Okay? Why? Maybe you don't know why. Let me tell you why. Because there are way too many people, billions of them, who are unwilling to wake the fuck up and be better people. They're just unwilling. They are literally unwilling. They want the classes and the races to fucking be put in categories and hate each other. Oneness consciousness, there's only one race, the human race. That's ridiculous to even. How is anyone still fighting and arguing over the fucking color of your goddamn meat suit? I cannot comprehend it. How is this a thing? How are we still, well, brown people and black people and white people and shut the fuck up. If that's what you're trapped in still, you are not elevated enough to be with elevated people where that's fucking stupid and ridiculous. Every single person, no matter what their skin tone is absolutely fucking beautiful and magical. Every single person. You are beautiful as you are. We are meant in oneness consciousness as divine infinite beings to come here to experience all these divine creations and how we get to look different from each other and to celebrate that. And it's so fucking unique and crazy and wild and magical and mystical and divine and fun that we get to look different from one another, knowing that we are the same. Isn't that incredible that we get to do that? That is the magic of incarnating as a human. Oh my God, I ended up looking like this. What did you end up looking like? God, source, where we all come from because we all are incarnated as different beings and different things to experience and express. Like, hello, that is a new earth. The old earth, the fallen world, has to constantly make everybody know, I'm white, you're black, I'm brown, I'm this, we're different. Grow that's ew. Like, you're that immature? White people, brown people, black people, yellow. Get the shut up. Grow up. And for those of you who don't and won't and refuse, and you're still stuck on stupid fucking things like skin color, that's okay. I'm not judging you for it. I'm here to help wake you the hell up so you can elevate out of that stupid shit. But I'm not judging you for it. But here is the way of truth. You're staying on that fallen earth. You ain't coming up because you're choosing not to elevate yourself out of that old paradigm and that old conditioning. You're choosing to not elevate. And that's okay. You have free will choice. You do whatever the hell you want. The transition that we are in right now, there's this transitional period that we're in as the earth is splitting. And that, our goal, a lot of you know that in our earth ascension process, the goal, the target date is 2032 for that to be 100% complete, the full split, 100% complete. We are definitely on track for that. I kind of get a sense that we're on track for that happening a little sooner than the target date. That's my sense of it. There are a billion variables, timelines changing all of the freaking time. So, it could happen sooner, a little sooner. It could happen a lot sooner. It could happen by the target date. I can tell you it won't happen after that target date. That I know for sure. However, in the years to come, as we are going through this split, there's still a transitional phase. And that transitional phase is the new earth, the old earth are still overlapping. Think about that cellular division picture that I wanted you to visualize earlier. There's a part where you can see two cells, but they're not fully separate. There's that little circle in the middle where they overlap. That's kind of where we are now. That is getting smaller and smaller. We just recently went through a massive shift of divine separation. This isn't separation consciousness, but the earth splitting, that divine separation. And in the next handful of years to come, maybe all the way until 2032, we are still going to have overlap where suddenly it feels like you're in a completely different dimension because you're dealing with the fallen earth, the old earth people, which you still will need to deal with. And then you're going to be on a new earth, back and forth. People that are still in your lives that are, third dimensional unconscious beings are going to stay on that old earth that at some point you will not see because you won't see them. You won't come across them again. Okay. But until then, we kind of go back and forth. And 1 minute you're like, oh my God, ew, bleh. You can feel the lower energies of the fallen earth. You can feel all of those things. And then in the next minute or the next hour, the next day, you feel nothing but elevation and you're surrounded by nothing but elevated people. Here's one thing to pay attention to. Wars and horrific things in the world. On a new earth, we are always meant to learn from those things and remember how dark, how dysfunctional, how violent, how disgusting we become as humans when we lose our level of consciousness. You're meant to learn from it. You're not meant to forget about it. You're not meant to act like it doesn't exist. It fucking exists. Wake up and be powerful enough to embrace all the crazy shit on every goddamn level that it exists. We are meant to learn from it. We are meant to use that in our excuse me, in our teachings, so to speak, to a degree, because we're supposed to learn what happens when we fall, when we are fallen, when we are completely unconscious, and we get so lost in the darkness and our unconsciousness that we do nothing but create more evil, more violence, more rape, more murder, more all of the things. Okay. More suicides, more mass shootings, more school shootings, more all of the terrible things, raping and enslaving children and women and the whole nine. We are meant to learn from that because those are the consequences of being unconscious beings. Do you understand? Okay. Next thing. As the earth continues to split, you will see less and less and less of that stuff. It won't really, for the most part, be on your radar. So it's almost like it doesn't exist anymore. It can't touch you. It can't come into your life directly. And that's how you know you're evolving and elevating more towards the new earth. Now, remember, there's a transitionary period, and we have years of that still. You can choose to go either way. That final split, where you're at in your healing, your elevation, your level of consciousness is going to be decided for some of you that last moment where you could go either way. You still have a lot of shadow self, a lot of darkness, a lot of unhealed stuff, a lot of powerlessness. You need to heal that and elevate out of it. And you have every chance and opportunity to do that. Every single day of your life, you can be doing that. Okay. And if you're choosing not to, that's your choice. That's fine. I'm never going to judge you or criticize you for that. But you must understand, if there is anybody out there telling you you're just automatically going to the new earth, they're probably one of the plants to keep you trapped on the old one. Remember, how do you discern between like false prophets and true spiritual leaders, mystical teachers, how do you discern the difference? And one of them is that they don't tell you what the fuck you want to hear. And that's no guarantee, but that's one of them. That's one of the things to look out for. If you have anybody spewing to you just nothing but love and light, be very careful of who you're actually listening to and allowing in, and allowing to probably be an energy vampire. And they're probably luring you in so they could feed off of your life force energy, because that happens. All right. Anybody creating codependency, anybody creating any of that stuff, you want to focus on people that can connect you directly to your inner divine power. That's what you want to learn how to do energetically. And you also want to be able to learn how to detect, as the way of truth, other people who seem like they're there to help you, but are really actually doing you harm, or it is kind of a trick or a manipulation, and they're luring you down this very spiritual path. And it's a path where they're trapping you into the old world so that you don't go to the new one. Why? Because you're food, so to speak. Like, your life force energy is food. Like, other people feed off of your energy. Y'all know what energy vampires are. That's the whole point of harvesting a bunch of enslaved humans, so they can't wake up and connect to their real power. It's like, because they get to feed off of you. Okay. So think of it like that. So as we split and as the new earth fully is forming, what's really critical to understand is you're going to go through some weird shit. Let's just put that out there. And you're like, oh my God, it's weird enough. It'll get weirder. I don't know how. Don't know how weird it's going to get until we're moving through it, but I can almost promise you, and I don't give promises. It's not a promise, but I can almost, guarantee that we're going to go through some really weird shit, and it's going to get weirder and weirder before we're elevated into, fully the full split of the new elevated earth. So that's okay, because as long as you're doing the work you need to do on yourself, become the universal ways of oneness. Really learn what that means. Each and every way of oneness is the highest level of enlightenment we can achieve in this lifetime. I want you to understand there is no such thing as the universal ways of oneness. Oneness consciousness is the new earth. Do you understand? That is the new earth. Period. End. Those enlightened frequencies are the enlightened frequencies, just the frequencies of light, capital L, of source itself. They are the frequencies of light itself. And they are given to us now because as we are elevating, it is time to elevate higher, more enlightened from an earth standpoint than humans ever have before. This is the highest level of enlightenment for this next phase, age of Aquarius. All right. So, for all of you that still carry fear, for all of you that still have worries about, oh my God, but do I have to say goodbye to my best friend or family members or fill in the blanks? Guys, heal yourselves and energetically detach. Do you understand? Everybody has their own journey. And if other people are choosing the old earth, don't you dare get trapped on the old earth with them. You cannot be that powerless and that stupid to do that, to let that happen to you. Their soul is on a journey. So is yours. Why in God's name, when you see that the fallen earth is filled with war and terror and violence and enslavement and all the things, why would you? Oh, because it's my friend I had since I was really young. What the fuck? Really? You're going to let your soul be that damaged because of a human friend you had for a long time in this one lifetime? You better wake up more than that. But it's my mom. Yeah, and you're going to have a lot of them in all of your incarnations. It isn't as personal as you think. It's really not. It's very impersonal. The universe is impersonal. It's just divine. Divinity has no tolerance for evil. Now, a lot of you who aren't elevated enough will misinterpret what that means. We're supposed to love and embrace everyone. That doesn't mean that I enslave myself because you're unconscious. Nope, sorry. Misunderstanding of what the fuck that means. Divinity doesn't judge evil. Divinity understands evil. See the difference? When you are divine, in my divinity, I understand evil. I can see through it. I understand what your intentions are here. I understand what you're really trying to do. The manipulation, the brainwashing, the whatever. It could be anything, right? In my divinity, I understand it. I see it. I don't need to judge you for it, but I don't need to fall for it either. And I don't need to do this energetic entanglement with you where my vibrational frequency is going to get super low and be terrible. And I'm going to live a fucking miserable life and suffer because I'm unwilling to elevate higher than where you're willing to go. We all have free will choice. What are you using yours for? Elevating higher or staying in codependent powerlessness because I knew this person for a long time or they're my family member or they were friends. Oh my God, we were in the same fraternity. Oh, we were sorority sisters and they don't. Get the fuck out of here. Then go stay and be low with them. That's okay. You have free will choice. You cannot stay entangled with unconscious people who are willing to live in separation consciousness and unwilling to evolve out of that into oneness consciousness. You cannot entangle with them and come to the new planet, the elevated earth. It's not the way it's going to work, guys. Period. End. It's not. Like it or not, I don't care whether you like it. I'm here to give you the truth. Why am I here to give you this truth, whether you want to fucking hear it or not? So that you have the best chance at elevating into a higher vibrational earth. And when we can create that and we can base the new earth on the universal ways of oneness, on oneness consciousness, step by step, become every way of oneness. That's how you get to the new earth. It's that simple. It's a becoming. Okay. That split, this earth planet division, quote unquote, cell division that is happening, that we're all moving through in such a weird experience, all the things we're experiencing, jumping timelines. Well, we're doing that because the earth just split more, just pulled farther apart. We are closer to the end goal, the destination of being able to live on a way more elevated earth where, pandemics and things aren't being, put upon you in order to trick you and, you know, create fear-based existence so that you can be enslaved more easily and brainwashed more easily. Like that doesn't exist in where we're going. But in order for you to not experience that stuff again or anymore, you have to elevate out of it yourself. Match the vibrational frequencies of what the new earth actually is. Okay? That's part of your job. You're not going because your spouse is going, by the way. That's not how this works. Like you don't get a get out of jail free card. You don't get a pass. You have to fucking earn it by elevating yourself. My own partner, my own husband said to me jokingly just recently, like, oh, he's like, I'm like the luckiest person on this planet because you're my wife and you're already there. And that makes sure I get to come. And I was like, oh, honey, I love you so much. That's not how this works. I'll be waving to you on the island of a new earth over here saying goodbye to you with all the love in my heart. But I don't pull anybody with me for free. That's not how this works. You cannot be in the way of integrity and even do that. That's one of the ways of oneness, the way of integrity. Even if I could do that, I wouldn't do that. That's not love. No, that is 100% unconditional love. That you need to elevate yourself higher. This isn't codependency bullshit. You're not depending on me to get you there. You have to get there yourself. And I hope to God you choose to come along. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. If we don't, it's because you chose to stay lower. So your spouses are not guaranteed to come, people. And you better do the work on yourself to detach from that and heal and elevate enough that by you being so powerful, so elevated in your light, that your spouse will stop at nothing to make sure they're elevated enough to stay with you and to come and enjoy this new elevated planet for the rest of their lives too. You need to understand how this works. And you can help and you can guide and you can support everyone. That's what we're here to do, to evolve enough to now live on, what some people refer to as heaven on earth, that we create. It isn't given to you. You have to create it first within yourself. And as a byproduct of who you are, you create that outwardly. And all of us together who are elevating and becoming beings of oneness consciousness, we are creating that new earth that we then get to live on and enjoy for the rest of our lives. So think of it like this. You decide to build your dream house, whatever that looks like. It doesn't matter how big or small. None of that means anything. You have the right to have whatever kind of home you want to live in. So imagine what your dream house would look like. And then you have to wait for the plans to be approved. You have to wait for the builders to build it. You have to wait for it to be built. And that process, depending on what your house looks like and how much land there is and how massive it is or how small or medium size it is, whatever those are for you, that could take 8 months. It could take 4 years to build it, right? During the time that your dream house is being built, that's a transitionary period. You can go visit your property. You can go visit and see the progress, but you're not living in the new house until the new house is built. You can't. You can't go live in a house that just has a framework up. Okay? Makes sense, right? Easy analogy to understand that part. So a new earth, You're not living on a new earth that isn't fully built. Like, we are creating that with the vibrational frequencies that we are. The framework of that are 20 universal ways of oneness. That's the framework. Elevated, enlightened frequencies where we get to learn how to be the way of truth, the way of presence, the way of connection, the way of compassion with each other. And what that actually means. You're not posting that crap online, on social media, and saying, yeah, this is wonderful, love and light, man, let's all love each other. You have to become it energetically. Your vibrational frequency has to become the way of harmlessness and gentleness, the way of equality. You have to actually function there. And you're not at those frequency levels if you're still running programs of inequality, like I gave examples earlier. Judgment of others is inequality. You're making yourself superior and them inferior to you. That's what judgment is. It is a program of inequality. You are then creating a matrix of inequality on the planet when you do that. This is how powerful you are. On a new earth, we are not creating programs of inequality on a new earth. That is not what it's for. We're not doing the same old shit that we did before. That's what the old fallen earth is for. And that's why a lot of people are staying on that fucking planet, because they do nothing but that. And if you are ignorant enough and naive enough to think that because you're spiritual and you don't rape anybody and you don't murder anybody and you're not fighting in wars and you're not violent and you are not outwardly misogynistic or racist, if you think that's all it takes to get your ass to a new earth, you are dead fucking wrong. And I am so sorry, but probably you ain't making it to the new goddamn planet. That isn't good enough anymore. The fact that I just don't murder people isn't good. That's not elevated enough to be in what this new enlightened planet is. Do you understand that? So I invite you to get way more elevated teachings and to become way more elevated yourself. And if any of this made you nervous or afraid in any way, just learn how to go in and alchemize that. There's nothing to be nervous about. There's nothing to be afraid of. There is nothing to fear. We don't live in fear as elevated beings. Do you understand? That's not how we live. You don't literally just live in fear. There's no worrying constantly and the anxiety, and that doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't mean you'll never feel or experience the energy of anxiety never again. You might, something might create that, but you don't have anxiety. Do you understand? That's the difference. You may go through depression because you lost a loved one and you're moving through grief, and that's a very depressing time. That's a human experience. You don't have depression. You're not clinically depressed. That shit's gone. That's not a new earth. Do you understand the difference? And so if you're still struggling with understanding differences like that, that's okay. It just means you're still living in separation consciousness. By the way, you guys, let me be clear. You're not going to be fully enlightened and mastered in oneness consciousness on the new, when the new earth is fully here and you're on it. So don't misunderstand that. It isn't possible with the state of the human race to be 100% out of separation consciousness. You will still have some of those programs as you transition into a new earth. When I say, if you're still coming from separation consciousness, you're not going to new earth, I don't want you to get confused. I'm giving you that as a general teaching, but let me break it down a little and be a little more specific here. It isn't possible for the majority of humanity, who, not 8 billion people, but the billions that will go to a new earth and actually elevate enough to make it on a new earth. It's still not going to be possible for you, for the majority of them, to get rid of 100% every crumb, every aspect of separation consciousness. Okay, there will be a grace period. Part of that period is now over the next 8 or so years, though. You still have a little time. Some of the programs that will still be there a little bit, you will be able to see very quickly, alchemize very quickly. Okay. But if you are still anchored in separation consciousness versus oneness consciousness, if you are anchored in where everything is separation, separation, and you have no idea that you're even creating separation, 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 that's what I mean by you cannot be in separation consciousness anymore at all and come to a new earth. I hope that clarifies it a little bit for you. If you still have some programs and some unhealed stuff, of course, and you're more elevated and you're willing to see it and own it, and you are the way of responsibility, the first way of oneness, of course you're coming to a new earth. But I don't want anybody here to think you have a free ride or a free pass to come onto this new planet and live out the rest of your life as that elevated being on an elevated planet. That's not how this works. That is the main thing that I want you to understand. Okay. It is so important that you understand that. And why is it important that you understand that? So that you can transform enough to make sure that you make it and you're elevated enough to enjoy New Earth when it's fully here. That's why. That's why you need to understand this stuff. Spiritual education is close to non existent on the fallen Earth. It will be the number one most important thing. That mystical education is going to be the number one most important thing. You need to be connected to your divine power as an individual on a new earth in order for all of us to work in union as divine souls. The micro and the macro are functioning in union, based in, anchored in oneness consciousness. All right. So when you understand that a little bit more, maybe you'll be a little bit more motivated to keep going higher and higher and elevate enough over the next handful of years or 8 years or however long it takes this split to fully be completed. Because once it's complete, it is never again are you going to see the people from the fallen earth. Never again. And I hope you are not one of them that stays on the fallen earth. I hope you're elevating enough to come with us, to become the beings of oneness consciousness, to achieve each and every universal way of oneness. Read the book, The 20 Ways of Oneness. Grab your copy on Amazon. Visit mastersofselfuniversity.com. We're here to help guide you in all of these ways. This is what we're here to do for a new earth. We are creating this in order for people to make it through and elevate for real. And one of the last things I want to go over very quickly with you as I wrap things up is, and by the way, give us a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with everybody you know, because this is really beneficial information for them. I really want to hit home that, as I mentioned, darkness and evil on the planet pulling out all stops to trap people into the fallen world so that they don't actually elevate. And as sad and horrible as it is that this is happening, it is happening. There are so many spiritual institutions, places, spiritual people out there claiming to be teachers who are luring people in to follow them and do what they're telling them to do. Meanwhile, what's going on behind the scenes on an energetic level is they're feeding off of you. They're still brainwashing you. They're tricking you into staying at a lower vibrational frequency. And all of those people, even when they have the best intentions of the world, trying to heal and elevate and become more spiritual, are staying trapped in there. You are staying, that's the old fallen earth. And I want you to hear that. Really let that hit home. Really let it hit home. Because if you're still stuck in that pseudo spiritualism out there, the love and light only, or the fucking orgies and shit that everybody's doing, and it's led by sexuality and sensuality and all the shit, you're being duped. Because those are the energies that are the strongest energies to feed off of. You want to get real out there, with beings and evil and demons and reptilians and all the rabbit holes that you can go down, that is the energy that they feed off of. And it is almost solely the easiest energy and most potent energy to feed off of is lust, is sexual energy. Why do you think that's everything that you see in the music industry and in Hollywood, the old fallen earth? And it doesn't mean sex is bad. Don't you ever go into separation consciousness, which creates polar opposites, dualism. No, it means what you see out there and what you see in all of these spiritual communities and spiritual gatherings, and everybody's humping each other and hooking up. You've been duped. You're trapped. All of that's a trap. Because when you can activate sexual energy in a large group of people at one time, for example, then all those evil, dark entities get to feed off of you. You are the brainwashed puppets. You are the brainwashed sheep in those examples. In those scenarios, you are nothing but brainwashed sheep being fed off of by the energy vampires and the ones that know more than you know. So you've been duped. Why are you going to the places where this is the stuff that they promote? And it's okay that you go there. I've said this 100 times. I'll say it a million more. I'm not judging any person. That's not what this is about. This is about giving you, as the way of truth, a being of the way of truth in the 20 ways of oneness. You deserve to have the information, the way of wisdom offered to you so that you can make a choice, because we all have free will choice. And unfortunately, we've been tricked and conditioned for so long in the fallen earth, the old earth, that people think they're making free will choice, and it's just brainwashing. You're conditioned to go do those things. You're conditioned to stay out late night, all night, partying, getting drunk, doing drugs, fucking each other, blah, blah, blah. There's 1,000 reasons why you've been brainwashed and conditioned to do that and choose that in your life. This is fun. I'm just living it up. That's what you call living it up? Eek. That is scary, that you are choosing to be so low in your vibrational frequency. That's living it up. That's living it down. That's dying it down. You're killing yourself off. You're killing your life force energy. You're giving it away to every fucking person. And some of you don't even realize you're doing it. You think you're just having fun. You think you're spiritual. Ugh. You gotta wake up for real. If you want help and you want to learn more elevated teachings, go to mastersofselfuniversity.com. Get into our group coaching programs. Join our Discord channel, by the way. It is completely free. At least start there. Grab the 20 Universal Ways of Oneness. Read the book. Jump into our Discord channel. Go to our live events that we're going to be having very soon. Okay, 2024, a lot of live events that Masters of Self University is going to have. So stay tuned, pay attention, sign up, join our retreats and our live events that we're launching in 2024. We are here to help you get to where you want to go. All right. And in the meantime, wherever else you go, connect to your own divine power and do not give your energy away to other people. And if something in your intuition, not in your emotions, your programs can tell you, oh, I'm triggered. I don't like this person. I don't like what she's saying. I don't like what he's saying. Why are you running a program? If you are, God damn it, heal yourself, because you cannot come from the way of truth and become the way of truth and see with divine sight if your programs and your emotions are guiding you of what you should or shouldn't do in life. I'm just not in alignment with that. But why? Is it because you're brainwashed, you're conditioned, you're being tricked, you're being duped, because you fear connecting to your power? That is a real thing. That is a real program that a lot of people run. Oh, I'm not afraid of connecting to my power. And you're doing nothing but connecting to powerlessness and weakness. There is a lot of elevated education to be had here so that you can discern the difference. And the only thing I can do is my job, what my soul is here to do. And that is to teach and to teach and to empower and to teach and to teach and to empower and to teach some more. It's up to you whether you're going to elevate to being a powerful divine being who elevates and helps us all continue to create and then enjoy each other on a new elevated planet on the new earth, in the new world, or you get trapped in the fallen one. That is always your choice, whether you realize it's a choice or not. Even when you are being brainwashed and conditioned, which is so unfortunate, ultimately it is still your choice. And isn't that fucked up that it's not really your choice and yet it is? It's not fair. It is very unfair. And yet that's our reality, everybody. That's the truth. So wake up for real. Wake up for real. Wake up for real. Do the work. Connect to your divine power. No more codependency, powerlessness, weakness, bullshit. Alchemize your fears. Go to mastersofselfuniversity.com. Get a free consultation to figure out what programs will best help you based on where you're at in your level of consciousness and healing journey right now. We have several levels to where you can start. Let us help you. That's what we're here to do. And in the meantime, connect to your divine power. Read the 20 Universal Ways of Oneness. Join our free Discord channel. Get started. Keep going no matter what. Thank you for listening. Always such a pleasure. I'll see you in the next episode.